Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Ralph McAlister, good morning to you on this gorgeous day.
And the same to you, sir. Who
Yes.
can complain when you've got a beautiful view of Carpety, beautiful cloudless sky, and, as I say, Chelsea's not winning.
The Blues are blue. Ralph, of course, you've got that beautiful view in front of you, and you're speaking with some personal experience. And I believe you can speak with some personal experience about the Helen Kelly movie.
Yeah, I've been putting off going to it, John, because Helen was one of my students, when she was 18, and she became a lifelong friend because not only was she in my class when the Traits Hall bomb went off, I had to get her out to a scooter to get down to the Traits Hall, and from then until she died, we've been very close, and that's why I didn't want to go to the movie for a while, because I just couldn't face up to the memories, the grief that it would evoke. So I finally went with a friend, Alan, who actually, oddly enough, visited Helen with me the 2 weeks before she died, and it was okay. The movie, it's called Helen Kelly Together. But I just kept thinking it's a bit distant. And I know it was all about just the last part of her life, the last year. But I was curiously unmoved, and that's saying a lot for me because of our relationship. But I think I'll look forward more to Rebecca McPhee's biography, which will be coming out soon. And I know Rebecca's work is of the highest possible standard. And I think perhaps the book of her life will be possibly more significant in the last analysis than the film. Without taking away from the film, there were a lot of people there at a mid-afternoon session the other day in Waikanae. And it was obviously striking many chords for them. And so I'm not trying to put people off, but for me, I just remained curiously distant. So that's my feeling about Helen Kelly, the book, the film.
The film. As I understand it, the cameras were with her for much of the last year of her life, and obviously that was the focus. But of course, she contributed so much to this country. Some would say she's the last of the great trade union leaders that we had in this country. And she was a spokesperson on the left at a time when it was not fashionable to be a spokesperson on the left. And of course, more recently, she led the charge in terms of the marijuana discussion. So she was a very important part of our public discourse, wasn't she?
Yes, and I think that film summarises that pretty well. It is about a public figure, a public contribution. It's not as personal, and that's fine. They chose, the film directors decided to go that way. But you're absolutely right. I mean, her father was a rabid trade unionist of the highest order. I knew Pat and his wife Kath very well at those days. And they supported the workers. They supported the down and outs.
Yes.
Helen's place was packed with people. Even in the last year of her life, she'd have people coming in and staying, sleeping on the floor and so on, because they're coming down for some demonstration outside Parliament. She's a towering figure. The work she did on the accidents in the forestry have transformed the forestry safety regulations forever and has saved many, many lives. So anybody who starts being negative about Helen and her background, they have me to deal with.
Yes, indeed. They have a lot of people to deal with. I interviewed her several times. I found her to be a woman of great grace, patience and humility. And I really admired Helen Kelly for what it's worth. A wonderful person.
Yeah, oh, we agree on that. We might not agree on Chelsea, but we agree on that.
Look at it. Look, it's fine. Better explain this, because Ralph, of course, loves his Liverpool, loves his what I call soccer, he calls football. And I've got nothing against the game. It's just that when I watch the BBC, what they call sport is football. That's all they do. And that's the only thing. It seems all-consuming in a certain part of the world. In fact, let's face it, most of the world. Let's face it, it is the world game. There's no doubt about that. So, no, I've got nothing against the game, but and I do support Liverpool for what it's worth because of a certain association with the Beatles. So that's where I come from. It's as sophisticated as that. Anything else on your mind this morning, sir?
Have I got time for a brief review of the book?
Oh, indeed. Please go for it.
Well, it's fairly prosaic. It's Greg Hurwitz latest. That's Hurwitz, Greg Hurwitz, who's the author of Orphan X, 5 of which his character, Ewan Evan Smoke, was an Orphan X when he was 12, trained to be a killer by an agent, and he's been living and dying almost ever since. He's a bit like Lee Child's Jack Reacher.
Ooh.
He's ruthless, he's an assassin, and his books, all 5 of them, have been instant bestsellers. This is the latest one called Into the Fire, which is exactly the same as the others. Indestructible, like Reacher. He's called the Nowhere Man. People ring him out of the blue and say, "Can you help me?" And he helps them by killing people or by sorting out problems even worse than murder and then death. It's formulaic, John. It's highly readable. It's gone straight up to one of the top bestsellers of the month. And I'm just not quite as addicted to Hurwitz and Orphan X as I am to Liverpool, but almost. It's a great read. It's pure escapism. It's extremely violent, and you learn, if you want to, a great deal about weapons of destruction, mostly guns and pistols. I skim over that because I'm not remotely interested in it. But the actual character of Orphan X, of Evan, is quite wonderfully fascinating. He's an international best-selling author. He's written so many others apart from these series, but I'll stick to Orphan X and the books in that series, and say to people, if you want a sort of escapist read, try reading any one of Greg Hurwitz, and you'll enjoy it.
Well, what more recommendation do we need? I thank you very much for joining us, sir. I really enjoy our sessions. Ralph McAlister, thank you.
Have a sunny day.
106.3 Beach FM.